I'm promoting wireless. My primary job is to book the talent. So, everything from headliners to the DJs in the VIP. So everything across the festival that's music based.
First and foremost, I want to say good afternoon, Mr. Jon Mac. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Busy man?
Yeah, busy at the moment. Yeah, getting close to festivals, so keeping busy. Yeah.
You've had an interesting career so far. Can we just kind of like go a bit back into actually how you started off getting into this industry?
Cool. I started when I was about 16. So me and my mates were in bands and in Birmingham, where I grew up, and just wanting to do gigs and like perform, and couldn't get gigs, so I would start organising them for my mates. So all my mates' bands, and we'd like hire pubs and clubs and stuff. So I started doing that even before I was old enough to kind of drink in the clubs. So it was started young, but that's how it began, and then moved to London and started working more different types of music, and that's how it started.
Your accent seems to have gone.
Oh, completely, yeah. But when I go back there, it's funny, I was there on Friday and I'd sort of see my old mates, and the old like yam chat comes back, so it doesn't take long.
So from 16, you started off obviously with a passion of music.
Yeah.
How do you then get into actually getting your first job?
Kind of luck, I guess. It's hard to get your first experience. Often isn't a job. It isn't paid, or it isn't that well paid. So I got a friend of mine knew somebody at a club in Camden called the Barfly, and he called them up and said, "Listen, I know this guy. He's organising his own gigs. He's really keen." And I came in and I just helped out in the office. I ended up doing 5 days a week in the office, and then I had to go and get jobs in pubs, like pouring pints to sort of survive, and ended up working there for 9 or 10 months, kind of unpaid, which was really, really hard. But you kind of have to get in there and learn the business, and it was like being at college. Every day there was something new, and you pick things up and you meet people. So it's one of the best ways to start, I think.
What was, at that point, the biggest lesson that you learned? Because obviously everything must have been new at that time. So what kind of lessons were you learning?
One of the best lessons that I learned was never to write an artist off. And somebody said that to me really early on. He said, even if you think something's not good, then never write it off, because they could write a huge hit, they could get their heads together, they could change and creatively develop. And he was completely right. I saw people come through that weren't that good, and 6 months, 12 months later were smashing it. So it's totally possible.
So as of today, for those who are looking at it and watching the interview, what is the actual job title and role currently?
For me?
Yeah.
So I'm promoting wireless. My primary job is to book the talent. So everything from headliners to the DJs in the VIP. So everything across the festival that's music based. I'm kind of picking, and I've got people that I work with and people that I listen to, and I get a lot of sort of pointers, but that's my main job, and then just working with the team on marketing and PRing it, and I get involved a tiny bit with production, but it's not really my area. But certainly from a headliner point of view, I need to sort of understand what they're doing, and sometimes that has an impact on cost as well. So kind of involved in all the different elements.
That sounds pretty intense, because you're dealing with labels, probably managers, tour managers, scheduling, cost. How intense is that for you?
Well, I've been doing it a long time, but it's intense, and you've got to keep a cool head. There's times when you have a problem and you can't see around the problem. And actually that's one of the biggest parts of the job is problem solving. So it's like, okay, well, this guy needs to do this, but then this person isn't on site till this time. How do we make it work? And negotiating all of that, kind of firefighting, So that's a massive part of it.
Picking headlines, what do you kind of look for in terms of like who's going to headline wireless, or what days, what stages?
So sometimes it's easy, like you get a call and, Kanye wants to play wireless, and you're like, I'm going to think about that for a minute. Yeah, okay, no problem. Please come. And then sometimes it's a lot more challenging. So, you know, we took a call early on with Boy Better Know for this year. You know, and a lot of people said, Boy Better Know, they're not ready. They can't close the main stage at wireless. And I just had this feeling. I knew Skepta had an album that was going to blow up, and I knew, you know, JME doesn't do a lot, and I just think as a crew they're really culturally important, and this is their year. So I just went in and said, you know, I think we should do this. And fortunately, you know, my boss Melvin was supportive, and we took a risk. And a lot of people, when we announced them, said, oh, you know, they're not big enough, or this is too soon. But sales are flying, and people are hyped about them. So I'm really happy. You know, you've got to take those risks sometimes.